Welcome back to the Sports Complex on a Friday afternoon. A fun Friday show. I'm your host, Patrick Davis, with you every day. With me on a Friday, my man, the digital wizard here at the Austin Radio Network, Jacob Standard, is joining me on a Friday, like he always does, to get through all these games. We're going to talk a lot about Texas, Kansas, play some more Sark audio from yesterday. Give you Patrick's Big Fat Poll today. We'll ask you those questions on the new text line, 512-447-3776. Give you some picks for NCAA football. All happening on Saturday. Big game tonight. Big game tonight in NCAA football. Some NFL picks. Get you ready for MLB. The final weekend of MLB regular season is this weekend. So a lot of stuff coming up on the show today. Of course, you always drive the show on the text line, 512-447-3776. It's the new number. We just launched it this week. So if you have not texted in your nickname for the new phone line, text it in. We're trying to keep adding them in as we keep going, because I love being able to know you guys by name, and when we talk on the text line, I enjoy being able to reference who you are that are texting in when you have good takes and all that other good stuff that you guys been doing over there on the text line since we started the show. So I appreciate it. Welcome in Jacob Gonzalez, Jacob Standard. Sorry. It's been a long week, Jacob. Welcome in, Jacob Standard. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I don't know if I'm sold on the digital wizard title, but we can workshop it. You're
not sold on it yet?
I don't know if I'm sold on being a wizard. I don't know if I want to be a wizard.
I thought that was your generation, was all the Harry Potter kids.
Maybe it was the one right before me.
Oh, it's in the middle of us.
Yeah.
There's a generation in the middle of. So you were never a Quidditch player?
No, I never played Quidditch. No.
No. Okay. What was your movie then? What was like y'all's generation's movie?
To compare to Harry Potter?
Yeah, like the thing that everybody knows.
I mean, the easy answer is Star Wars.
But that's I mean, you want to say the newer Star Wars.
The newer Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't say Star Wars. Just like, no, we said the Darth Vader. That's crazy, man. No, we can't do that. Come on. You're gonna
I don't know. Not a Harry Potter guy. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty
sure. Tell you what, I've seen them all, but I put them on to fall asleep. So
I see. I've not seen any of them. So yeah, I'm definitely not a wizard. Maybe you're just a fan of the Washington Wizards.
Oh yeah, maybe. There we go. Like I said, we'll workshop it. We'll come up with something besides the digital wizard.
The digital wizard. That's what we're going with. That's set in stone. No, you can pick it like how we're telling people on the new text line, 512-447-3776. Send in and put in if you have a nickname you want to have on the text line for us to talk to you, go ahead and send that in. Jacob is workshopping his right now. So if you got to workshop it and then tell me on Monday, that's okay. I know we're all waiting because Monday is going to be – so this Monday and next Monday are going to be some big Mondays for Texas fans.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's either going to be a little bit more Kool-Aid, and then if you did by next weekend, we could have swimming pools full of Kool-Aid. But we could also completely be off the bandwagon in 2 weeks.
Yeah, there is going to be we'll know soon enough. But yeah, you're right. It could be very polar opposite reactions the following Mondays.
Yeah, I mean, we know in 24 hours we will know how Texas fared against Kansas. We should know. We should be around knowing. And if Texas does well, then we should definitely know. And we'll be like, yeah, we're finishing up the game. It's taking a while because we're beating them so bad. Hopefully that's the case.
We just can't stop scoring.
Hopefully it's the Miami Dolphins scenario. And you have to be like, look, we're just going to start kneeling the ball in the third quarter.
In the fourth, yeah.
Which is embarrassing. I don't think it's going to be that. Like, this is going to be an interesting game for Texas. We've talked about it all week long. Jalen Daniels is an electrifying player for Kansas. That this team is a team built on physicality, where you see a Baylor where it's more built on speed and not necessarily being the most physical team. And Texas wants to be physical too. And Texas is bigger, Texas is stronger, but Kansas has some really big guys, some strong guys, and they want to play physical too. So you have to bring your A game. You cannot look past it at all. You cannot slow down anything or take it for granted. I don't feel like it is a trap game, and Sark addressed that it wasn't a trap game because they're ranked. Yeah, it's hard to say I get Oklahoma's Oklahoma, but if you say, well, we're too worried about number 14, so we forgot about number 23, who beat us at our home a couple years ago, which was unheard of.
Right.
Then I think you have to, I don't think there's a trap game, but it is one that some penalties could set you back, and all this stuff could set you back basically a quarter or 2 quarters, or where you are having to have another fourth quarter explosion like you've had in a couple of games this year to really pull away in this game. You don't want to have to rely on that as you keep going through the season. So I think that's where Texas is right now. Can you be disciplined enough throughout this game? Can the linebackers be disciplined enough to not bite on some Jalen Daniels moves or a pump fake or whatever to get him in the air or get him going the wrong direction, and he breaks off for another, for 15-20 and picks up a big third down, or, finds a guy down the road, finds a guy down the line where everybody comes in and the safeties all come in because they think he's going to run and he just puts it over the top.
Yeah.
That's discipline that you're going to have in this game.
Yeah, Kansas plays a brand of football that if you don't show up sharp like you're talking about, they can definitely come up and get you. And so I don't agree with trap game either, because I think Kansas is a good football team.
Yeah, here's Sark talking about defending Kansas, because this is going to be, for me, the biggest point. I know the offense, we haven't seen them click the way we want them to, and you're hoping it'll go a little bit better this week. Kansas doesn't have a bad defense, but they're not built on this defense. They're built on this offense.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's Sark talking about defending Kansas.
Well, I think it's important that we play a disciplined brand of football, first of all. I think we've got to have great eyes. We've got to have great communication so that we're tied on a string, that everybody's working well together, that everybody trusts their keys, what they need to do, and that they can trust the guy next to him, that he's going to do what he's supposed to do. That's always important, especially when you start talking about option football. Everybody's got to have their rules and be dialed into that. But I think ultimately it goes back to our level of physicality. We have to play a physical brand of football, most notably at the line of scrimmage. We've got to be really sound at the line of scrimmage. Anytime a team can run the ball, that opens up all of the other things that they want to do, right? Whether it's the play action pass, the trick plays, the things coming off of that. So I think it's really important that we're really good up front, and that we can defeat the run and play well against the run and be gap sound. But two, across the board, all 11 guys, we have to have great eyes, and we have to trust our training and that communication amongst everybody so that we're all on the same string.
So this is where playing that where you kind of, it has that thing where I've been talking all week about the linebackers, and you have to have your linebackers. They, to me, are the most important, because there's so many factors of, the defensive line knows what they have to do.
Right.
And the safeties know what they have to do. And the cornerbacks know what they have to do. I feel like the linebacker is kind of a scramble where they're going to mentally have to be in this game at a different level, because the safety knows, all right, he can't get behind me. And, if he's coming up, I have to be able to come up. But you kind of, like everything else, you kind of understand. Whereas these linebackers are going to be put into pass coverage a lot. They're going to be put into run coverage a lot. They're going to be spying the quarterback a lot. And it depends on play to play. And sometimes in a play, you may end up trying to do all three.
Yeah.
Because play action. Then you got to jump back because you got to get back and, play a zone. And then, Jalen Daniels is coming back out and you got to go get him. That to me is why I keep saying them. But it is when you're defending, you have to have all facets of your defense playing at a high level. I don't think many Texas fans are that worried about the D line right now because of the play of Devondre Sweat, because of the play of Byron Murphy. That you feel pretty good about that offensive line, especially if the middle and the run game. And then the safeties, it'll be interesting to see who he plays, because he's been playing a pretty big rotation of safeties,
right,
and playing guys in and out. Jalen Catalon will be great in coming up and stopping the run and catching Jalen Daniels, but he may get beat over the top. Jaron Thompson is great at coming down and making interceptions, but he may get over the top. But you can go to the rookie Derek Williams, and he's got speed, so you're not going over the top of him. Yeah. So it depends on what rotation that Sark is gonna play those guys. That's something to be watching, is who's in at safety on which play. I think on third and longs, you're going to definitely see more of the Derek Williams kind of coming in. And, you may not want a freshman in on those big plays, but also, if they're chunking the ball, then we need somebody who's not going to get beat over the top.
It'll be interesting to see who they kind of pick on in that secondary, kind of find out what formation they can get the guy they want to attack in the right spot and then go after him.
Yeah, and we've seen in some formations, PK basically pulls out Jahdae Barron, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Not liking that one.
And I get Ryan Watts is the boundary corner, but as good as Ryan Watts is, I still think Jahdae Barron's a better corner.
You said it earlier this week. There's no way your team is better with Jahdae Barron not on the field.
And that's, so if you say we got to have him on the field, I get that there's reasons why you don't, and maybe the scouting report and what they've done, but once teams find out a way to get him off the field, they're going to keep doing it to get him off the field because it's just an advantage.
Yeah, how do we recreate that scenario right there?
Yeah, how do we get one of their best players off the field? Like we've seen it with defensive ends that basically offenses won't substitute. Like a defensive player will come off, like Aaron Donald would come off the field for the Rams,
and
teams
no
wouldn't with no huddle, no substitutions to not let him back on because he was that much of an impact player.
Right.
And I'm not saying the teams are going to do that against Jahdae Barron of not basically hurting themselves to keep him off the field, but you just have to call. They were just basically you run 2 tight ends, he comes off the field a lot in those packages, so it's not like you have to make a huge sacrifice. You just say, we'll put in 2 tight ends and we're good to go. And a lot of these teams have 2 tight ends.
Right. And they might like their chances a little bit better with Jahdae Barron not on the field. I would too. Jahdae Barron is a heck of a football player.
Yeah. So it'll be seeing how they kind of go through that. Jalen Catalon's had a really good year, but he's been on Sark said he's not on a pitch count.
Not on a pitch count.
Said he's not on a pitch count.
count.
But he is playing limited snaps. We'll say that. I don't want to say very limited but he's playing under 50% of the snaps, I believe.
Yeah.
Which you would assume he would be playing a little bit more than that. You would assume, especially as the season goes on, he'll play more and more.
Well, especially because he's making an impact the times he is on the field.
Exactly. I think Jalen Catalon is one of those guys, too, that he really has great communication. He has a really high football IQ, and he can read plays pretty well.
Yeah.
So one of the things of having him on the field is he's really good at being an extra guy with Jalen Ford and those guys to communicate to the rest of the defense, hey, watch out. I saw this on film.
Right.
We know what they're kind of going to do. And with a guy like Jalen Daniels, and I don't want to overstate too much of Jalen Daniels, but when you're talking about Kansas, that's the guy.
That's the team.
That's what they're built around, that they're built around this guy.
And rightfully so.
And so you have to overcompensate for it. And, we talk about it, and we'll get into the offense for Texas. And that with Jalen Daniels, there is no pick your poison. You try and stop Jalen Daniels, and you say, if anybody else beats us, then, we'll deal with that when they start to beat us. With Texas now, this offense, as we start to get more and more of a balanced offense in Texas, and Jonathan Brooks is having a really good season so far, after basically being week 1, not the starter.
Yeah.
And I think it surprised a lot of people, maybe him as well.
Maybe some motivation.
And he seemed to respond when C.J. Baxter went down. So now you say, well, we have that. You have C.J. Baxter as a backup, who we also know is really, really good and only improving week to week because he's just getting more comfortable with the game. And he's getting healthier now. So you say that running game is there. So, and then all of the weapons in the passing game. You have to worry about, can you hold up against certain defensive lines, that certain pass schemes or certain rush schemes and all of that are going to get at you. And once Quinn Ewers is off time and once he's off his footwork, it gets a little sloppier. But if he's able to get in the pocket and stand on his back foot, he does pretty well.
Yeah, when it turns into backyard football, there's a little bit more room for error with Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn likes to try and, he likes to play backyard football.
He loves it. Oh, yeah, you can see it.
And you have to kind of pull him away from doing that. But Sark talked about the importance of a balanced offense this week, which we talked about the week before on the show.
Yeah.
That you have to have balance in this offense. That Sark was notorious in the last few seasons for really, really being dead set on, I have to throw the deep ball first, and that'll open everything else up.
Yeah.
And that was just always kind of a sticking point that he could not get past the fact that if the deep ball wasn't working, well, nothing else is going to work. And you're like, well, try though. How about we try? And it's a weird thing because you had two day one, you had the first round and then a second day pick in the draft at running back last year, but they weren't his guys.
Right.
And it feels like part of Sark's hang up with that was he felt like if he went there, he wasn't winning. Like the team was winning, but it wasn't him. And I don't know where the hang up was in it with Bijan and Roschon. He would go to him, but it always felt like he kind of was admitting defeat at the part of the game where he would just start handing the ball off at the end.
Right. Well, he also wanted to do psychological damage, and I guess he didn't think Bijan stiff-arming a dude into the next century was psychological damage.
And I mean, maybe he too. I'll give him that if you watch and you go, well, we're running the ball and they keep getting hit behind the line of scrimmage, eventually this isn't going to work.
Right. Yeah.
You could maybe say he's just like, look, I'm all past knowledge of this would tell me that this is a bad plan of attack. If we keep handing the ball off and they keep getting hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, we should be throwing the ball because clearly our line is better pass blockers and run blockers.
Unless you have Bijan and Rojo.
unless you have Bijan Rojo. This year, he seems to be calling a little bit better. I don't know fully why that is, but he seems to be calling a little bit better. I'm still surprised Keelan Robinson isn't more involved in the game plan because Keelan Robinson was getting more.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And so I don't know what it is, if it's just Keelan Robinson is more focused on special teams and they've kind of changed up what his game plan is.
Right.
They may be using him later in the season against some different defenses.
That's what I think.
That's what I think too. But yeah, I'm curious to see. But the balanced offense, here's Sark talking about a balanced offense and why it's so important, because now you can use the run to set up the deep pass, and you can use the mid-range to set up the deep pass, or the run. You can use the different things, and they don't have to be in any order. Here's Sark talking about the importance of the balanced offense.
Well, I do think it's important. I think inevitably for us, we're always at our best when we can run the football effectively. I think that helps the RPO game, which we definitely like to do. I think it helps the play action pass game, which we like to do. And then it helps the drop back pass game because, people deploy their people differently when they feel the threat of the run game. Ultimately, the coverages a lot of times dictate where that ball's going to go, predicated on where their emphasis is of who they're trying to take away and what they're trying to defend. And I think Quinn's done a nice job of not forcing the ball, but yet allowing the reads to come to him and distributing the ball effectively. And that's the beauty of when you have multiple weapons, is that you don't feel like you have to move people to specific spots and then you can become predictable. And I think now, we put our starting 11 out there predicated on the personnel that we're in, that you have Xavier, you have JT, you have AD, you have Jordan, you have Jonathan Brooks, you have Gunnar Helm when in some of our 12 personnel. All of those guys have proven to make their plays when their opportunities presented themselves. So naturally, as we go, certain games, other guys are going to have bigger games than others, predicated on some of the coverages that we get. And last week, it happened to be JT. I thought he had a fantastic ball game. We've seen AD have multiple touchdown games. We've seen the playmaking ability of Xavier. So the key for us is to make sure that we've got a good plan week to week, and that the guys, understand that plan and execute the plan. And just know by the end of a ball game, everybody's going to have opportunities, but there might be a guy or two that just has a little bit of a bigger game predicated on what the defense decides to do.
Yeah, and that balanced offense, we get a good text here from our man, Chief Engineer. It says that what's got to change is in the red zone. They've only scored 8 touchdowns on 16 trips, only have a 37% third down conversion rate. Now, I'll tell you two parts of this. One of them is they played Alabama, who's one of the best defenses in the country still. So that's going to knock down your third down conversion rate a little bit.
Yeah, that'll mess with your numbers.
They did not play well against Rice in a lot of these categories.
Right.
So the first 2 games of the season kind of knocked them behind, where they've looked a little bit better at some of the stuff against Wyoming. They looked a lot better against the Baylor. I do agree, though, that Sark's offense is more a spread out. We'd like to have a whole field to play with. And especially once you get inside the 10, he's not necessarily a power run, let's try and shove it down their throats guy as much from the 10-yard line. He may be from the 1 or the 2, but he kind of wants to still throw the ball. And if you're going to be let's shove it down, you have to do that 3 downs in a row.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to pick up 3 yards and 3 yards and 3 yards and get into the end zone. You can't do it once and hope to get 6 yards on a play in the red zone, running it right up the middle.
He wants to get the ball in the hands of his weapons out there on the edges in that area. He wants to throw bubble screens, swing passes, get it in their hands early and let them make them play.
And another part of it, too, is this is Quinn Ewers, like his evolution, his progression in his career, that Quinn Ewers is a guy who is really set on not turning the ball over. And in the red zone, you have to make some dangerous throws. And a lot of times the guys that are getting open are not the guys on the outside. So Quinn Ewers will always try and throw to outside routes in the red zone.
Right.
He very rarely puts it over the middle of the field in the red zone. And if he does, he's putting it over the back of the end zone where it's his guys catching it at the back of the end zone or no one is.
Well, he trusts what he sees on the sidelines more than he does the center of the field.
Exactly, because you don't know who's creeping over, and it's just harder to see in the middle of the field, especially with everything going on and guys trying to kill you.
Crossing routes, and exactly.
So, you get it, and depending if you're on the road, then, it can be really loud in there as well once you get down to the other end zone. So I think part of it is Quinn Ewers is just he needs to get more comfortable in that, which will come with time. Now, it could be that you get another turnover in there. It could be that he's got to kind of go through the growing pains. But I think part of it is Quinn Ewers, that he's just, he doesn't want to throw the pick. And Sark wants to call pass plays to get it to his playmakers in that situation instead of running power football. So you just kind of have a combination of in Sark's head, well, the guy's open, just throw it there. And in Quinn's head, well, that's really risky.
Right.
You know what? Well, let's wait. And then by the time you get to third down, now if nothing's open, you lost it on first and second where you had a guy, or maybe we've had a few drops as well. There's been at least 3 drops I can think of off the top of my head immediately that were red zone touchdowns that ended up in field goals.
Yeah.
So, those types of things are stuff you can clean up. The red zone, the drops, you can clean up. That's something where the play call was right, the pass was right,
Execution failed.
And execution failed. But you could call that play again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Those ones don't worry me as much as the ones where where Quinn Ewers kind of has to eat the football and then runs to the outside and then throwing it away or taking a big hit or taking a sack. Those ones worry you a bit more because that's where Quinn Ewers needs to evolve as this season goes on. Because as you're hoping to be playing in a Big 12 championship game, those are the points where everything starts to shrink down and every possession matters a lot more, and you don't get to have 15-point spreads anymore in your games.
Yeah, and you can't go 50% in the red zone.
No.
Yeah.
No, and so it's that's I think if Sark win a little bit more power run at times in the red zone, it would open up, part when we talk that balance is instead of having a balance of on first down I run, on second down I pass, just going, no, we're just going to run the ball 3 or 4 straight times, put Byron Murphy in front of Jonathan Brooks, and we're just going to lead the way and just try and push. And Jonathan Brooks has got great balance. He can stay, and he's got, he'll push. And with that lineup, you can probably get 4 or 5 yards every carry.
Right.
And you may get one that's 2, but you probably get 4 or 5, and you can get a touchdown. I would do that a few more times to get the defense to feel more in block, to get more man coverage on the outside, maybe make them bring the safeties in a little bit more to try and get in and stop the run. So then it opens it up on the outside so you can start doing that and do the inside-outside as opposed to continually trying to pass the ball in the red zone and trying to hit those pass plays. That's what I would say. But I agree with you. You have to clean up those possessions. With that, let's get to Patrick's Big Fat Poll of the day.
Patrick's Big Fat Poll of the day on the Horn.
512-447-3776 is
Nailed
the
it.
new text line, 512-447-3776, where you can join the conversation and answer our question of the day. We'll put this up on social media for you after the show today. But if you have this, you want to tell us this question, especially might want to put some explanation in. Here's a question, because this is where we talk about this game. We've seen different quarters matter a lot for Texas. And we talked a little bit earlier in this show today about you don't want this to become a fourth quarter game.
No.
You don't want this to be a fourth quarter game. So I'm not going to ask you which one do you want to be the most important quarter of this game. I'm going to ask you to predict what will be the most important quarter of this game. Is it going to be a fourth quarter game in your mind? Is this going to be a game where the first quarter is the most important because Texas is able to put up 17 in the first quarter and kind of dictate the pace the way they want? Or is it that Kansas puts up 17 on the first quarter and Texas is kind of having to chase? And it's important because Texas is having to chase the whole time, and it means that run game starts to go away even though you're in the first half. And I hate when coaches are like, well, we just got to throw. We're down 17. Like, you got 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Run the ball.
Right.
Run the ball. Just hurry up your offense a little bit.
But we're going to burn the clock. There's 25 minutes
You're
left
going
in
to
the
burn
game.
the clock when you're passing, too. Come on. Move downfield. But, yeah, that's what I'm asking. So the number 512-447-3776 is the new text line. What will be the most important quarter in the game, Texas versus Kansas, for Texas in the game against Kansas? Send into that. Tell us why, if you got a reason why you think you got a quarter that's the most important. Anything else you want to talk about Texas football, any other big college football games you got opinions on, any NFL you want to talk, we can get into all of that. Whatever you want to talk about. You guys drive the show here on the Sports Complex. We're just here to drive the ship. You drive, but we drive, and I don't know the analogy. I haven't figured out the second part of that.
Yeah, we almost had it.
We almost had it.
You know
we're
what?
good. You guys are driving, I'm sure. I'm not sure what I'm doing.
We'll workshop it.
We'll workshop it. Digital Wizard is the workshop. Man, Chief Engineer's got some ideas for you.
Hey, he had a great one.
He's got some good ones in there. So we'll be workshopping those. We'll be back here on the Sports Complex giving you some picks for NCAA football games around some games you might want to check out. Put those on your radar here on the Sports Complex on the Horn 101.9 AM 1260, the Horn app, and at hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex on the Horn on a Friday afternoon. It's 512 Friday. Playing some local bands you can go check out around town this weekend. This is the boys in Saucer. Got back together recently, playing a few shows around town. They're playing Saturday at Hanover's. We've been playing down south, so a nice up north show there for you. Saucer's got some guys from Vallejo, George DeVore. It's a good lineup. Les Fisher, I believe, is going to be playing with them. It's going to be a fun lineup. They're always a lot of fun.
I like it. Sounds like a party.
It is a party. Let me tell you, it's a party. Saucer, you can check them out Saturday at Hanover's. Some Saucer there for you. And I'm glad they finally put their music online.
Oh,
this stuff all came out
before?
like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And they never put it out because it was before all these existed.
Well, they're trying to be retro.
And now they got back into playing some more. And I'm like, well, if you put your songs on the radio. So so you can stream them now. You can go out and listen to more Saucer and get ready for the show on Saturday. It's going to be a fun time.
Download this one.
Go download it. Yeah, download it.
This is a good song.
There you go. Let It Go There by Saucer is the name of that song. Let's get into some college football picks. Remember, you can text us in. We are asking the poll of the day. 512-447-3776, the poll of the day. What will be the most important quarter for Texas against Kansas? So is it first quarter they need to take a big lead? Do you want to finish the first half strong in the second quarter? Is it big for you to come out in that third quarter and Texas is going to come out big, pull away in the third quarter? Or is this going to be a fourth quarter game? And it's going to be a big fourth quarter for Texas. Is that going to be the most important one? Let us know. What do you think? And tell us why. 512-447-3776 is the new text line number. Send us in there. If you haven't said your nickname yet, if you told us already, then I've already put it in. If you haven't told us yet, then clearly I have not put it in. We're trying to get all you guys' names in there as we got the new text line system going here at the Horn. Let's get into it. My man Jacob, we've been making some picks. Clearly, we're doing really well. I've been told that we're just killing it.
Yeah, I did something a little annoying before we started the show today. So,
you'll see. Yeah, I know. Look, we were joking about it because last week we made some picks, and I know what my man Jacob does is because he is the digital wizard. As much as he doesn't like the nickname,
I don't know. I like Digital Dog. Chief engineer put Digital Dog out there. He also had some other.
But he said dog D-O-G. Are you the dog D-O-G or dog D-A-double-G? D-A-W-G.
D-A-W-G.
Yeah, okay. You got to be the dog, yeah.
Yeah.
But the digital dog, Jacob, it sounds weirder when I said so much weirder.
That's the best part is that you now have to call me the digital dog.
It feels like that's a Scruff McGruff or whatever, the crime dog. It feels like it's that.
All right, so we're workshopping it.
His cousin that didn't become a cop, he went to computer camp too many times.
He works in the van. He's the IT guy.
He's the IT guy. Enhance.
I'm in.
But I want to look at some other games that are happening around other than Texas. We keep talking about Texas. We'll get back to Texas football for sure. In the next segment, we'll be reading what you said on the text line 512-447-3776. But we made some picks last week, and I knew Jacob he cuts himself if he got one that's right and he feels really strongly and he has a good take on it. He did his research. He's got it cut, ready to go. And there maybe was a game last week that seemed like he was going to be right, and then a kicker missed a field goal, and he was not right anymore. So as I was giving him a hard time about it. That's the reality. I was giving him a hard time because I knew he had it ready to go.
Hey, if you follow me on the internet, I'm batting 1,000 because y'all don't see the bad ones. Yeah.
If you listen on the radio, you hear it. No one's betting 1,000. We were betting 1,000, we'd have the highest listener base.
I am. Check my receipts.
Game tonight. Friday night game. It's going to be on FS1 if anybody wants to watch it tonight. Utah versus Oregon State. It's number 10. Utah, Cam Rising, still not expected to be back tonight. It's kind of funny that they were like
splitting reps at practice.
He started to come back, but yeah, it was something where they were like, I don't know if he's going to make week 1. And now you're like, is he going to play this season?
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's getting a little weird how long he's not playing.
Yeah, Utah still is looking good, though. And I get for Cam Rising, too. He's looking forward to, he believes he can have an NFL future, and you don't want to jeopardize that by getting hurt again by coming back too early.
Well, and he got hurt last game of the season last year. This wasn't a mid-season injury.
Yeah. No, there's plenty of reasons. So they're taking on number 19 Oregon State. So number 10 Utah, I'm giving them all the credit because they've been able to hold that ranking without their starting quarterback, which is the main reason they had that ranking.
It's getting close, though.
It is getting close.
They're running out of slack.
They are, but I'm impressed that they've been able to hang there without their starting quarterback. Number 19 Oregon State, I don't know why people are so dead set on pretending that the Pac-12 is that good this year? They're not. I know they didn't play anybody, and they just gave everybody who was undefeated a step. Oregon State loses last week to Washington State, still ranked number 19 in the country.
Awesome.
After losing to Washington State, because Washington State's going to take over the world. Pac-2 still both ranked.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get it. They have their quarterback, which I've really worked on the pronunciation of the name.
Go for it.
Okay, so his name is DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Uyangalele.
Oh,
That's me saying it.
Wow. Can you
right
do
on.
it again?
Yeah, DJ.
Yeah.
Uyangalele.
Perfect. Say it right every time.
When did you prepare that?
2 minutes before the show. When I was like, I didn't look up how to pronounce it. You know, I'm just gonna do it where I can just hit it with a button and I'll get it right every time. He's the big question here is Oregon State has been running the ball really well. They're averaging 225 rushing yards per game. Utah allows 51 rushing yards per game.
Ooh.
So this game is going to be very much dictated on the lines of scrimmage. If Oregon State can run the ball, they have a shot in this game. They are the 4-point favorite in this game because Utah is, again, it's Cam Rising is not in this game. If Utah's defense comes out and stops them, and it comes down to DJ
Uyangalele.
having to make plays, I don't have the faith in him. I don't have the faith in DJ
Uyangalele.
to make the big play. So I'm gonna say Utah wins this game. I don't have the faith in Utah and Oregon State that everybody else seems to have. I know that DJ
Uyangalele.
was supposed to be a star at Clemson, and DJ
Uyangalele.
was the guy who got the first big NIL deal. It was in the Dr. Pepper commercial saying, "Hey, I'm."
Uyangalele.
And so I get all that, but just saying, I think Utah wins this game. What do you got?
I'm glad you got so many miles out of that. That's perfect. I mean, I just want to point out though, because I did do something annoying. Like I said, Patrick was 4-3-2 in college picks last week, and I was 3-4-2. So we weren't that far off, but you did win.
Okay,
but
when ties, those were those
pushes.
Okay, pushes. Gotcha.
Yeah, pushes. The ones that were right on the number. It was
gotcha,
Ohio State and Notre Dame.
I was wondering if you were
and
like,
Oklahoma.
okay, I got you. Perfect. All right, good.
Yeah. So
those are wins.
Yeah. Well, no, they're not. But I'm gonna go the opposite way.
I couldn't have won. I'm not gonna call a push on this. We're not predicting pushes.
I'm just saying.
I went 3-4. I went 3-4. We don't even need the twos.
All right. Well, then we'll call the pushes losses.
No, they're not losses. You didn't lose your money.
Well, you didn't win, you?
You didn't lose.
Okay, fair enough. So
Come
we'll
on.
call them ties. So I got Oregon State -4. I think DJ
Uyangalele.
nailed it. I think they're going to be too much to handle for Utah. Utah's QB, Nate Johnson, had to come out and apologize for how poorly the offense looked last week.
Yeah.
I just don't have a lot of faith in them if Cam Rising doesn't play. That's my one stipulation, though. If by some miracle Cam Rising goes out there and starts the game, I'm flipping to Utah immediately.
Yeah. What if Cam Rising comes out in the second half?
Oh, man.
Because it's going to be close. It's not like Oregon State's going to blow it away. It's not like DJ
Uyangalele.
is going to have a great first half and blow everybody out of the water. We know that.
No, I don't think
it's
so.
Going to be, but it's and if they, the only way that Oregon State is really going to start to pull away in this game is if they do run the ball over in Utah, because they're taking away Utah's strength there, which is their defense and their run defense.
Right.
So if you can do that, I think this is a Utah win. I'll take the underdog on that one.
Yeah, I just think the limited QB situation makes their offense a little bit limited.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be difficult to score points even.
It is. It is difficult to score points. I get that. I'm still not sold on the whole Oregon State.
Okay.
I'm not sold on it. Tomorrow, when we start to get into some Saturday football, this is a interesting thing because we had this conversation on the text line yesterday. Or the other day when someone was asking what programs are next up going to be like Kansas, where they're starting to turn it around, and you start to bring in a coach and change the culture and do all that. And my answer is it's basketball schools.
Yeah,
because basketball schools have good fundraising already. They have the things that they understand. They usually hire decent enough coaches. But now, because it was harder to recruit just freshmen to come in, you were able to get the transfers to come in. And you used to only be able to bring in JUCO guys. Now you can bring in people from everywhere. You can get all the best guys from the FCS. You can, you're able to start recruiting a little bit better with NIL. Get some guys that are from your area to come. So those basketball schools like Kansas, another school we'll talk about in a little bit, Duke, and this school we're talking about now, Kentucky. Kentucky is one of those schools that, they understand how to do all the other pieces so they can start to step up a little bit. And they're not there yet,
Right.
But they're luckily playing it to a school who is overranked again in number 22, Florida. Florida is a 1-point favorite on the road at Kentucky tomorrow. This is, does anybody have any faith in Billy Napier that he's going to win, like that he can play any close game and they call the play calls to get Florida and they're a disciplined enough team?
Oh, are you going to go Kentucky on this?
I'm going Kentucky on this.
Wow.
Devin
Two
Leary is a better quarterback than Graham Mertz is right now. They just haven't progressed Graham Mertz the way they needed to. You get Devin Leary, who comes out. He really wants it. I believe he came from NC State. They get transferred. They get in there. He's playing really well. It comes down to me that I think that Florida makes too many mistakes on the road, and Kentucky, being at home, is able to pull it out. Maybe a last-second field. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think they pull it out at the end.
Could be. No, I'm with you on the close game. I think it's going to be very close. I will say this, though. Florida has the top-ranked defense in the SEC. And but on the other side, Kentucky DB Maxwell Hairston, he had 2 pick sixes last week. He has 3 turnovers on the season and a forced fumble in the opener. So it's going to be a very close game. Give me Florida. Give me Florida -1. Though.
I like it. Florida -1. It's hard. The -1s are always, you're like, well, I'm not going to take money line if it's going to win by 1. I don't believe that. I'm going to take my odds on that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to LSU. Number 13, LSU is a 2.5-point favorite at number 20, Ole Miss. This is a big game in the fact that these are two teams that had high aspirations starting the season.
Oh, yeah.
And they're both one-loss teams right now. A second loss can be really devastating to the rest of your season. Is Brian Kelly going to have a real letdown second season? That he was coming out strong, but he loses that opening game to Florida State, which is a really good school.
Right.
And then now you lose to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is okay, but they're a one-loss team. And at what point does this start to spiral for you that you now lose a third and you're just out of it completely? You're out of the SEC contention. You're out of everything. 2 losses early in the season, not what you want to have for either of these schools. 2 mobile quarterbacks. Jackson Dart for Ole Miss, Jaden Daniels for LSU. It's going to be a fun game to watch, like a really fun game to watch both these offenses because it isn't a drop back. Let's see what happens. Plays break down and it's going to get crazy. I will tell you, I'm going to go LSU in this game. I think Ole Miss is a good team, but it's all on Jackson Dart being able to put the ball down the field. You have to be able to put the ball down the field. LSU's run defense is pretty good. So I think that it's going to rely too much on him making big plays. Jaden Daniels will make some plays too. LSU, I think, is just a more complete team right now than Ole Miss is. So I have LSU covering here at 2.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is going to be an explosive game, though. Both of these teams are averaging 42 points a game.
Yeah.
This is going to be high-flying, lots of points scored. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I can bet you that the highlight reel for this on Sports Center will be pretty long. Like, they're going to have to pull some stuff out of, like, and then he was falling out of bounds and he threw the ball.
It's going to be one of those where they put the number in the corner where they're counting touchdowns.
Yeah.
Where they're
Exactly. Let's go over to the Big 12 game. Iowa State at Oklahoma. This is where I'm only putting this on there. Oklahoma's a 20-point favorite in this game.
Yeah.
Iowa State's 2-2, not looking great. But we talk Texas. This isn't a trap game for Texas. Kansas is undefeated. Kansas is number 23 in the country.
It's a good football team.
They beat you 2 years ago. You're ready to play them.
Oh, yeah.
For Oklahoma, this is a trap game, right? You have Texas next week. This is a trap game, right?
Yeah, you could be looking past it. You could.
Yeah, you could be like, look, man, we're dominating right now.
But, okay, so trap game in the sense that they lose or that they don't cover the number?
I think they don't cover the number. I'm not going to say they lose this game. I do think that it will be closer than 20. I don't think they've shown that they can blow out real competition. And I know Iowa State is like, no, they're playing good, but the teams they blew out were not like their FCS school.
It was the high school down the road.
Yeah, it's not like they're blowing out. They played SMU and could not blow them out. Like that SMU number is vastly overrated because they scored like 2 touchdowns with like 4 minutes left in that game.
You love that game.
I'm just saying that's one of those ones where people be like, they blew out SMU. I'm like, no, they didn't.
Yeah, you're just looking at the box
SMU
score.
could have won that game. So I put it this way: I don't think Iowa State wins it. The number is just really big on this. This game seems like a point where Oklahoma gets a little cocky. They let something go on the defense because their defense has been really good so far this season. That Brent Venables defense has been really good. Rocco Becht for Iowa State has had his best game of the season last week. So you hope that he can manage that into a few big plays against this Oklahoma defense. I have Oklahoma winning, but not covering the number of 20, which is a big number against a conference opponent.
Oh, I'm taking Oklahoma to cover it.
You got it.
Oh,
you want the alternate line?
No, I'm done with alternate lines. Yeah, no. Dylan Gabriel and the Sooners, I think they cruise past that number pretty convincingly in this one. Iowa State's really struggling right now.
They are struggling. I will say, if it goes Oklahoma's way, Oklahoma will. They have shown Brent Venables is on the mission because they're ranked number 14, and no one really is going to believe him until they show up against Texas.
They want a bigger jump.
Yeah, because they haven't played any good teams yet, so no one's really pushing them as like a believable top 10, top 5 team.
You don't get a bump for beating Iowa State by 20 points.
Exactly. Yeah. So they've been basically trying to put up 70 on everybody.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they are able to do that. I don't think they will be able to. I think Iowa State, Matt Campbell will know well enough of how to just keep it within 20. Well, just keep it within 3 scores.
To each is their own.
But we'll see. That's it, because Oklahoma could blow them out. They very well could. Final one I'll give you before we go to break. Number 11, Notre Dame versus number 17, Duke. Notre Dame's favored by 5.5. This is a big one for Notre Dame. They lose out in the last second with 10 men on the field against Ohio State. How
do you do that?
Ryan Day comes out and gets mad at a 120-year-old man for saying that they weren't great. It's the dumbest thing. What a thin-skinned man.
Oh my goodness.
That Ryan Day is. But yeah, so it's Duke kind of relies on their defense right now. Their offense is not bad. Riley Leonard and Jordan Waters have played a good combination at quarterback and running back. But I think this Notre Dame, you're not allowed to rely on your defense because Notre Dame's going to put up points on you. That offense is doing really well with Sam Hartman now. I don't think you can just lay back and rely. You're going to have to put up some points. I definitely have Notre Dame winning. I'll give Notre Dame the cover.
Okay.
But they're definitely going to win. So I don't. It is you can't get in your own head, and there is does Marcus Freeman get them back in line? But I think with a veteran quarterback, it's a little bit easier to get Sam Hartman back on track because this is his last year of college football.
Right.
And so I think it's a little bit easier for him to focus back in and say, let's go play some real football. We still got a shot, guys.
Sure. It's also easier to play defense when you have 11 guys on the field. So I think they'll get that. Yeah.
It is.
I think they'll get that figured out, especially on the goal line. But Sam Hartman can sling the football, man. With all that said, though, game day's in town.
Yeah.
Mike Elko's telling everybody, stop congratulating us for getting game day because we expected game day to be here for this one. Give me Duke.
You're
plus
going
5.5. Give me Duke plus 5.5. I don't know if they'll win it, but I could see this game being settled by a field goal either way, which puts me under that 5.5.
Yeah, I know it could be. Mike Krzyzewski's probably going to be there.
Oh yeah.
They'll talk more about basketball than they ever have during a.
Oh yeah, they'll probably bring Pat into the locker room, talk to the boys for the game, give them a speech, get them all fired up.
Oh, all right. I like it. If you have any more picks, anything that you think from college football, or if you want to start talking some NFL or Texas football, don't forget the big fat poll of the day. What will be the most important quarter for Texas against Kansas tomorrow? Send that in 512-447-3776. We're going to take a break. We come back. We're going to start reading your text off before we get to hour 2 of the Sports Complex right here on the Horn 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and at hornfm.com. Back in the Sports Complex on a Friday afternoon. 512 Friday. Playing local music that you can go check out around town this weekend. This is the very talented Ruby Dice doing an album release party tonight at the O4 Center. You can go check out Ruby Dice, brand new album, Not in Love. I believe came out today or around today came out. They're doing the party tonight at the O4 Center. Ruby Dice, very talented. As you can tell. Very talented.
Yeah, that voice is very soothing.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ruby Dice, really cool. Check that out, and let's get to some of your text on the text line. 512-447-3776. 512-447-3776. We're talking about the big fat poll today. Will be the most important quarter for Texas against Kansas on Saturday. We're talking college football, any games, any picks you have, any games you're excited about, and we're about to get to some NFL. So you got any NFL takes? Go ahead and send those in. Any games you're looking forward to in NFL, any takes you have there. Chief Engineer did have a soliloquy of Foreigner lyrics. I can't read the whole thing.
This is
Chief
awesome.
Engineer. Jacob, do you want to try it?
You want me to read
I
it?
want you to read this for me.
Okay, hang on. Patrick's trying to get me to slip up.
I know. This is what I'm doing. Look, you can tell that I pronounce words correctly because I know the name of DJ.
Uyangalele.
All right, here we go. So Chief Engineer says, PD, I need them to play urgent because I want to know what love is. Don't want to be left cold as ice. I need the D to be hot-blooded. Getting ranked 1 or 2 would feel like the first time. Quinn can be the jukebox hero, and Sweat can have them suffering from double vision. Hoping Sark can play head games because as a fan, I'm just a dirty white boy, not a foreigner.
That's solid. It's solid. I'm hoping you did this because you know my dog is named after Lou Graham from Foreigner. My dog is named Lou because he is the dirty white boy.
Oh, man.
So he is so my dog is named after Foreigner. So I do love that. Or maybe you're just a
That's so wonderfully crafted.
yeah, maybe you're just
That
an
is-
Aqua Teen Hunger Force and you got the Foreigner belt and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's solid episode of TV from many years ago. We get Bo to say the first quarter get a couple of touchdowns ahead and just keep rolling from there with the defense stopping them and hopefully a fumble for a TD or a pick six. So first quarter, come out strong for Bo.
I like that.
I like it. Me personally, I think the third quarter will be the most important. This is from Coach Rodney of Ramos Bud Lot, the great youth football coach. Me personally, I think the third quarter will be the most important. We will see what kind of changes Coach brings out to stop any success that Kansas may have had in the first half. If he can go in at halftime, make the necessary adjustments, and come out and thrash Kansas, then I'll be very confident in Coach Sark and Texas Longhorns football team. I've been drinking the Kool-Aid, though, and if they're going to do it this year, this is the year to do it. I'm loving every second of it. I'm loving it, too. I told you, we're going to have I think we win this week, it's a bathtub full of Kool-Aid. And if we win next week, this week and next week, it's a swimming pool full of Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Is what we will be drinking, which I'm all for. But I do. The third quarter, Texas hasn't had probably a great third quarter yet this season. I don't think they've had the one where where they've come out strong at a half. I think they've kind of has struggled a little bit at a half and then picked it up going into the fourth quarter. They've had a couple of success, and then in the fourth quarter they've had success. But the straight out of the locker room, they kind of start off the same way they've been starting off these games in the first quarter, which is those first drives, just kind of feeling it out
Yeah.
and, pushing it out. It's not my favorite thing, but I know that there's a lot of coaches who do that kind of thing, which they're kind of just testing it out. And for whatever reason, Sark has not been able to figure out how to make scoring success on those first drives out of the locker room either time. Depends on the coin toss from Daydrinker 77. If we get the ball second half, then the second quarter is big.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Managing the double possession is huge.
Oh man, the
Yeah.
Bill Belichick double possession, which that was.
I don't have any coaching experience, but every time I play Madden, I defer to the second half.
Yeah,
because
well,
of Bill Belichick.
Is the Bill Belichick? Everyone when he was just like, no, we like to do this, and they showed the numbers of
Yeah.
of how many times it
It's like,
happened.
no, every time he does it.
I'm excited about the celebrity effect that's going to happen in the Colorado and USC.
Did you hear who's going to be in attendance?
I'm guessing the nickname on this is Jamma. It's Jama for this texter. I'm going to go with Jamma. Tell me if that's wrong or if it's Jama. Look, I'm really good at pronunciations, so I want to get this right because I can pronounce names like
Uyangalele.
Yeah.
so.
That's a wonderful drop.
It's just such a weird drop.
Think about like 2 weeks from now when you drop that, and it's just like, where did that come from? It's like,
No, but there's tons of celebrities at that game. It's going to be crazy at USC Colorado. What's going to be crazy is I feel like the celebrities are going to start on the Colorado sideline and then just eke over to the USC sideline by the end of the game.
They're wearing 2 shirts.
Yeah,
just in
and
case.
like, oh, well, I'm really from
But
California.
There's one specific guest that I heard Matthew McConaughey is going to be there instead of at the Texas game.
Oh, that's crazy, Matthew. Come on.
I know. It's a bad look.
That's a bad look.
It's a bad look.
That's a bad look. I don't like that one bit. 21.5. We didn't discuss this game because the line is 21.5.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Does Colorado keep it in the number? Is it like Oregon?
Man, I have a tough time still talking bad about Coach Prime.
I do too, but I think we saw without Hunter there,
Travis Hunter changes that team.
it changes them a lot.
dramatically.
By the way, shout out to Travis Hunter for being a super class act guy and going out and doing a video bowling with the guy who took the cheap shot on him.
that's awesome.
And hit him. And just basically because the kid got death threats and he's like, look, it's in a game and you get heated and I've taken shots at people too.
Yeah.
We all have done stuff we regret, immediately after. And you're like, I didn't want to hurt him. I wanted to scare him.
Right. I didn't want to hurt him. I just wanted to prove my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a huge class act move to kind of just suck, and because he wants to play.
Yeah.
And
no doubt.
he's mad that he's not playing right now. And I know that, Dion has told him basically your career is more important than a couple games.
He wanted to practice this week.
Yeah. So, but very, very class act move there by Hunter. So that's, what, as much as people can some people are talking trash about the Colorado that they're too cocky and they have no ethics or anything like that. Clearly they do.
They pull a move like that. That's
They
awesome.
pull a move
Yeah.
like that. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, get some more of your text. Tell me again, Jamma? Jamma, is that it? Is that how I pronounce that name? Text that back in for me.
Nailed
All
it.
right, we'll get some more of your text. 512-447-3776. What is the most important quarter for Texas versus Kansas this Saturday? Any NFL topics you want to get into? We're going to get into NFL, make some picks for the week coming up in the top of the 6 o'clock hour right here on the Sports Complex on the Horn, 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Hour 2 on the Sports Complex here on the Horn. We're going to get some more of your text. 512-447-3776. Get into NFL picks. Talk a little MLB before we get out at 6:45 for Vandegrift football right here on the Horn. But let's get into some more of your text on the text line. I'm joined by apparently not the Digital Wizard. Apparently that's not cool.
Yeah.
Apparently old man Patrick didn't having a dad moment, even though he doesn't have kids. He's just sitting there. Oh, we're gonna call you this, and you're like, I don't like that nickname, man.
Do you want to be a wizard? I can make you a wizard.
I'm not a wizard, though. I think you're a wizard.
Well, I mean, I don't think so.
I think it's a compliment.
See, my generation, wizard means dog. We are. That's what dog translates to.
It does not. It doesn't at all.
Yeah, dude. So like before this generation, there was a primetime coach like Dion, and he was walking around saying, "That kid over there, he's a wizard."
So believe me, as someone who's covered the NBA, wizard has never meant anything good. This is someone who's followed the NBA for a very long time.
Oh no.
No,
Oh, no.
It's only slightly worse than Bullet. Well, it is slightly worse.
The greatest player in the world couldn't even help that franchise.
No, could not happen. Let's get back to the text line 512-447-3776. We're taking the big fat poll of the day. What quarter will be the most important for Texas against Kansas this Saturday? You got some NFL talk, anything in the NFL, any big games you're looking forward to, picks, Cowboys, Texans, send that in. If you got a score pick for the Texas game, send in your predictions for the Texas game. We haven't done that yet.
No,
I don't know why we always do that on a Friday.
Some of y'all get really close.
Yeah, I know.
I mean-
You guys got to put it in, so then we'll see it on Monday, and we'll see who gets close enough. And then you guys win a pat on the back. A digital pat on the back from the Digital Wizard,
Hey,
Jacob Standard.
Guess what? If you get closest to the score, I'll call you a wizard.
That's what we'll do. Yeah, keep sending those in. Send those picks in as well. Whatever you got to talk about. You know, we like to play with you guys on the text line. This is Rock and Randall. I'm a newbie for texting you. Welcome to Text and Then Rock and Randall. Appreciate you listening. I also don't like Digital Wizard. No, I don't. You know what? No, thank you for doing that. I didn't read far enough into
Thank
this.
you. Finally, someone on my team.
All right, that's fine, Rock and Randall. I think you should go with Digital Dynamo. Y'all want to do alliteration. I was trying to make it not alliterative so I could say it over and over again. And if you make it alliterative, I'm going to mess it up because I only pronounce words like
Uyangalele.
I think the second quarter is going to be the most important. Use the first quarter to feel out the team. Start dropping the hammer on them in the second. Second quarter. If this is a team where it's, if we say Stark's kind of going to start out slow, maybe get you get maybe a first down in that first drive, then you maybe get a field goal in the second, and then you can start to pick it up. And then you're getting that second, and maybe so it's 10 in the first quarter
you get
or
those
6
hits
in the first
too,
quarter.
and you loosen up the pads, and
And then you can put a couple in there, and especially what our texter said earlier of if you get there and you get that double possession at the end of the first half and into the second, that could be very big for you too. My man Nate, very cool of you promote a Pflugerville venue. I've been to Hanover's more times than I care to admit. When I was working for bands, it's been around for a while, and I've been there plenty of times. They're always super nice up there. Have a good time. They book some good bands up there, so I only got love for Hanover's, but. It's a long drive that I probably shouldn't be doing for, as an adult. I don't try and go up there because like when I was a kid, you're like, I can do this and I'm invincible. And now you realize you shouldn't be doing that kind of thing.
Why? You're just drinking Kool-Aid out there.
just drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Baby, the spiked.
You're afraid you're going to have a sugar high?
Yeah. Look, it's a big fat man now. Tell you, the sugar high could be more dangerous. Foaming at the mouth. The band I played earlier with the guys from Vallejo, Saucer with Bruce Castleberry and Omar Vallejo is going to be playing with them. George DeVore is a singer-songwriter from town, has been around for a long time. They're all in Saucer. Les Fisher has been around for a long time, played with Chamber 36, some other bands back in the day. That is all Saucer. They're playing Saturday up at Hanover's, which we just talked about. Yeah, but they'll be up there.
Hey, look at that.
Chief Engineer, kill them in the third quarter. Steal their heart and soul, 21 points. I like it. I like the killing them. Taking them out. It's going to be big if you can come out and handle Kansas and pull away, cover that number. If Texas starts to be a team that covers, it's a different conversation because even when Texas has been good, they haven't always been a cover team.
Yeah, because Alabama at their height, even when the cover number was like 30-something, 35 or whatever, you were always like, oh, they're probably going to hit that. They're probably going to beat them by that much. But
best quarter, the quarter pounder, the victory burger after. You know what? I like that you're finding a way around the question.
I love that.
I like it.
I love that.
From Pelly there. Thanks for texting in. First quarter, Texas needs to come out and punch these guys in the mouth. They're good at the skill positions, and I think that's how they can beat Texas. This needed to be a fight at the line of scrimmage from the get-go. Yeah, Kansas is one of those teams that they are physical. They're going to fight you on the lines, but like Texas, they do have some skill positions. They're basically they're Texas light right now. There's a lot of things they have that are similar. Now, Jalen Daniels is a different type of quarterback than Quinn, but they have a lot of things that they're kind of built similarly to Texas in a lot of pieces. But Texas just has a little bit more experience on it. They've had a little bit, 100 years of advantage of people knowing about Texas as a football program.
I love the way you put it earlier in the week. Same trajectory, different starting points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it's at. But yeah, I like that. If you come out in the first quarter and set the tone, that'll be a big thing for them. I agree with that. Kerry from Georgetown. Let's see. We're dominating. Baylor had no QB, struggled with Wyoming. I didn't say we were dominating. I say we're covering. We're covering. That's why covering is dominating in college football as much as you can put it.
Most definitely.
But I agree that it was Baylor. You dominated Baylor. They weren't great. It doesn't. But you needed to. The bigger thing for Texas is how many times we've seen this team play down to their opponents.
And
they
then get caught.
Yeah, and then they didn't against Baylor. They came out and played really well. They played up to their standard in a lot of cases, other than the muff punts, other than the special teams. If they don't turn the ball over twice basically in the red zone, that game could have been even more ridiculous. So I think they did dominate Baylor, which you have to do. You have to dominate those teams. Kansas is going to be a much different story.
We have a prediction. We have 42-17 from Big Jack.
And look, I'll say Alabama doesn't have a starting QB that's up to Alabama. They do have a starting quarterback that's better than probably half the quarterbacks in the Big 12.
Yeah, I would say so.
So I like Jared. There's a lot of teams. Milroe was supposed to come to Texas.
Yeah,
like I get that he's not there. They have not progressed him the way they needed to. I get all that. When we say they don't have a quarterback, is they've had basically they're an NFL quarterback machine.
He was the starting quarterback at Alabama for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy can play football.
So I'll put it in there. So we pull Quinn in the second and a quarter, so we can go ahead the balanced attack again. Look, Quinn, this is not going to be a pull Quinn game. I don't think we're getting the subs in on this one. We don't need to. We need to win the next 2 weeks, and then the rest of the season you can kind of play those out.
Yeah.
In my conversations with Bob Lilly, it was front to back, better have your head in the game, period. Yes, I agree. You got to have your head in the game. This is a game about discipline in there. And 42-17, good prediction there from Big Jack. Thanks for tuning in. Send in your predictions, 512-447-3776. Send in your predictions for us here on the text line for what you think is going to be happening.
42-17 would be pretty cool.
It would be really good. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think that's where my number is going to be.
I don't know if I'd put it there either.
I don't know where my number. I'll figure it out. We'll say that we'll give our predictions in the next segment before we go off the air. And then Kevin from Elgin, the fourth quarter is going to be the most important quarter. Texas needs to finish strong. The reason you're hoping it's not the fourth quarter, which it very well may be, Kevin, you may be completely right. You're hoping it's not because you're hoping that Texas is handled enough that the fourth quarter is, you got to finish strong, but the important one was the second or the first or at worst the third, and you're up 21 in the fourth quarter. That's where you're hoping, but it could be very much that Texas has to finish strong. It is a ball control game where, you're up, maybe up 10 or up even 1-7. You're up 7 and you just have to control the ball. Anything can happen. We know you haven't played against – I don't think you've played against a team like this yet because even when you played Alabama, it was just a different – you were playing against the defense. You weren't playing against the offense necessarily being the bigger piece, and your defense was better than their offense.
And Jalen Daniels presents so many problems for your defense, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it. No. I mean, he is really a special football player, but he is all they have. So you hope that Texas can handle that pretty easily.
All right, let's go and do some NFL picks real quick, Jacob.
Okay.
So we can get our scores a little bit better. We got to get our season average up. I don't feel we did good in the NFL last week. 2
for 4 last week for you. You want to know what mine was? I killed you. It was 3 for 3. Or 3 and 3. Sorry, not 3 for 3.
Not 3 and 3. 3 for 3 of the ones that I liked.
Of the ones that I cherry-picked.
Real quick, did you get any takeaways from last night's game? Lions win 34-20. It looks like the Lions are starting to hit their stride. Dave Montgomery had a huge game.
And they manhandled Atlanta last week. The Lions are really looking good.
Yeah. The Lions look like they're pulling away. And then they get the news today, which is more good news, that Jameson Williams, they've changed the rules for gambling,
Oh, really?
and Jameson Williams will be reinstated on Monday as
Oh,
opposed to
man.
week 7. I think it was a 6-game suspension. So week 7 when it's come back, he will now be back for week 5.
When he came in at the end of last season, immediate impact.
So they got a good game on Thursday. By Friday, they get even more good news.
God.
That Jameson Williams will be reinstated. The offensive lineman for the Titans will also be. They basically changed the rules to be if you're gambling on the NFL now, you are in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah.
If
And you
you are
should be.
gambling on your team, you're out of the league pretty much.
Yeah.
But if you are gambling just on other sports, we still don't like it, but we're not gonna treat it the same.
We're
gonna
gonna be
treat
as
those
ridiculous
separately.
about this.
And
Yeah.
the whole thought on gambling of how much easier it is to do, like it's not as nefarious, and you're doing it through reputable sites, which I know reputables, but you're not getting a bookie, and then so they're coming after your knees.
Right.
You can do it in other ways. So
Right.
that's why. Let's get some picks real quick.
Yeah, let's run through these.
Falcons versus Jaguars. It's in London.
Yes, it is.
They're going to be doing it in Andy's Playroom for Toy Story on ESPN Plus. I can't wait to watch it. And it's not that I'm a huge Toy Story fan, because Toy Story was a little after my time. But it is that this is. I want to see the technology.
You want to see how
does
they
it work?
animate it?
I feel like there's going to be a point where they're going to have to cut away because something terrible is going to happen. Like there's going to be a hit and it's going to glitch, and like someone's head's going to fly off or something.
Mr. Potato Head's head just falls off on
Yeah.
the screen.
So I don't know. I just want to see what the technology is on that, because it could do some other cool stuff with that technology.
Well, have you seen Toy Story?
Yeah, I have seen Toy Story. I've
gonna
not
look-
seen 2 or 3 toys. I've not seen the sequels. I've seen the original.
It's going to look a little bit like that.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's going to look like a weird game where the technology hasn't quite gotten good enough to do it yet,
Okay.
but they're going to try and do it. I'm interested.
Okay.
It is the 8:30 game in the morning. I
Yeah,
believe, too.
get your cereal
'cause
ready
it
and
is in
enjoy your
London.
Toy Story game.
Both teams are looking to rebound after tough losses. The Lions beat the Falcons in week 3. The Jaguars lose to the Texans. Ouch. Gotta hurt there. Gotta
Yeah.
hurt.
Big win for Houston, though.
I got right now, the Jaguars are favored by 3. I have the Falcons +3 in this game. I think the running game is going to travel. I think that'll make it a little bit easier just for the Texans for the Falcons, that the running game will travel a little bit easier than passing when you're beat up.
Sure.
I'm a homer. I like Bijan. I think he's going to be just fine in London.
There you go. The Jags play in a lot of overseas games, it feels like. So give me the Jags in the overseas environment just because they're kind of used to it.
They do play a lot because their owner, Shahid Khan, really wants to build that market up for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's in Florida, where they're not necessarily the biggest team in Florida.
So this is less of an away game for the Jags as it is.
No,
for
the Jags
yeah.
are kind of there, but I don't. Yeah, they're also, it's London, so I don't know if it's going to feel like a home game for either team.
Right.
I think fans just kind of cheer for good plays.
You're going to see a lot of jerseys in the stands. A
Yeah.
lot of different jerseys.
I think you're going to see some Mustardsons out there.
Hey.
I know that the big head Bijan Mustardson is in London, I believe.
Oh, it's definitely going to be out there.
Yeah. So I've already seen pictures. I think he's there. So you got Jags. I've got Falcons.
Okay.
Dolphins at Bills. Bills 2.5-point favorites. If you want to know how bad your season is, if you're the Broncos, Dolphins put up 70 on you. They put up 70, the most points scored in like 60 years. And they're the underdog this week. That's how little people feel about you. That the team that won by 70 probably going to lose the next week. The team that put up 70 on you probably going to lose the next week.
One of the most potent offenses we've ever seen.
Yes,
Yeah.
ever in the history. And they slowed down at the end. Like they specifically toned it down because Mike McDaniel was a ball boy at Denver, and he
Oh,
did. He
man.
was like, "Look, when I retire, I may move back to the Denver area, and I don't want to have to sit around when people are like, remember when you put up 120 on us?
Hey, remember when you broke the record against us? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. So feel bad for them. Bills have really turned around on the turnovers. So they think this game kind of relies on turnovers to a certain point. That the Bills start turning it over, they don't really have a shot in this game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Dolphins just because I feel like this team is going crazy. I think it's going to be close, but if I had it at 3, I'd feel even better. But I'll take the Dolphins right now. Bills have been playing good. I like what they're doing, but I'm going to take the Dolphins.
I'm on the same train there. I like the Dolphins plus 2.5. Especially like you said, if the game comes down to turnovers, I can't think of someone more efficient with the football than Tua.
And that's where I say I think that Mike McDaniel will be able to, work things out. So if the Bills do turn the ball over, they're actually up in the turnover margin.
Oh, really?
Because they basically turned the ball over a bunch in week 1, and I
Right.
don't think they've really turned it over since then. They say they've thrown another interception since then.
Yeah.
Cardinals at the 49ers. Reason I put this on my list, the Cardinals beat the Cowboys.
Okay.
The Cowboys are playing
All
the
right.
49ers in the week. That's a
Okay.
huge game. This is a point. Can the Cardinals go in and show up against the 49ers? Or do the 49ers blow them out of the water because now they know, like, hey, you can't look past these. These guys just beat the team we're trying to fight against.
Right.
Is this? So I'm curious. It's a 14-point spread. The Cardinals are still getting disrespected after beating the Cowboys last week.
Because it was 1 week.
I guess what? But they've looked good for 3 weeks. They've been in every game.
Yeah, and then they remember they're tanking for whatever reason against the Cowboys. When they went in at halftime, the owner didn't come in there and say, "Hey, remember, guys, we want the top pick."
Dude, Colt would have tanked for you.
You think so? I don't think he would have.
I think he would have. Josh Dobbs ain't tanking for you.
Hey, no one told Josh Dobbs or James Conner that they are tanking.
Josh Dobbs this week went in and tried to go buy a jersey.
I saw that.
And they had to get a personalized one.
Yeah.
And then I guess Arizona was like, he is our starting quarterback. We should probably, guys, he's winning games.
How does that get missed?
Because they thought he was going to suck and he was going to be benched in 3 weeks. Who wants Josh Dobbs jerseys? We brought him in to lose.
Right. Oh, man. That Cardinals team, very interesting. But the way
They're
James
also
Conner,
trying to push Kyler Murray jerseys to get rid of the stock. They're not making them anymore.
They don't want to make them anymore.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of stock there. 14-point spread. They're at San Francisco, which is a big difference.
Yeah.
It's at San Francisco.
Yeah.
49ers have not allowed a team to rush for 100 yards yet this season. Cardinals,
That's ridiculous.
James Conner looked really good against the Cowboys. That run game looked really good. The 49ers front line is just dominant this year.
Oh, yeah.
Is this 14? Are you going 14 on this?
Definitely. What are we even talking about? The 49ers are
Alternate line? Alternate line?
No, I'm not doing alternate lines. Not doing that this week. Last time I did it, the Cardinals won the game.
If you didn't hear last week, Jacob was so confident the Cowboys would beat the Cardinals, he offered to not only take the spread, but push it up to 28. Because the Cowboys were going to dominate. So that is why we're giving them a hard time. No, look, I think the Cardinals will keep it in the number. I don't know why I think they're going to keep it in the number. I think they lose, for sure. But I think they keep it in the number. I'm going to pick them to keep it in the number.
Well, good for you.
I wouldn't put money on this. I would not put money on this. I'm telling you now, listeners, I would not put money on this. I wouldn't put money on it either way. Let's put it that way.
This is not advice.
This is not advice. I'm telling you, if I'm forced to pick it, I make the hard questions here on the Sports Complex. That's where I would go. But if you're saying, hey, I got some money to put down, other games are better.
There you go. Yeah,
I would go with
Stay
that.
away from the double-digit spreads if you're putting money down.
Yeah, especially in the NFL. A couple games. We'll go through these both really quick because these are two games where somebody has to win. Somebody's got to win in these games. It's
Oh, no.
4-0-3 teams. 4-0-3 teams. Broncos versus Bears.
Oh, no.
Broncos are 3.5-point favorites on the road in Chicago. Vikings 4.5-point favorites on the road in Carolina.
Man. Wait, you want me to go first?
Go up. Give me. Do the Bears really just take all of the shine off of Sean Payton, or does it? They're just trajectory. They just keep going further and further down. And to the let's do that one first.
Let's do that one first.
Yeah.
No chance. The Broncos are covering 3.5. The Bears are such a dumpster fire of an organization right now. There is with all the noise going on around them, there's no chance Sean Payton loses that game by more than 3.5 points.
I really want to take the Bears, but you're right. I really want to take the Bears.
You just want to be contrarian?
I just want the Bears to win. I'm rooting for the Bears. I'm rooting for them. And I know our great marketing director, KK, hates to hear that. But I'm rooting for the Bears because I just want to see how bad it can get for the Broncos. Like, it's just kind of a social experiment.
Oh, you don't like the way they put that together?
Like, I just want to see, like, what happens when you've now overcommitted on two things that don't seem to be working. And you said, well, we'll fix the one overcommitment by getting another overcommitment to Sean Payton. And now they both seem to be sucking.
And Sean Payton immediately stuck his foot in his mouth.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think the Bears continue to be bad after that. Vikings, 4.5-point favorites over the Panthers. The Vikings win this fight. Like, they just run away with it, right?
No way. The Panthers win this game. The Vikings lead the NFL in turnovers.
Wow.
What do you mean, wow?
No, the Panthers are terrible. They just don't. And Bryce Young's hopefully going to be back in this game. They have not looked good at all. They have a lot of pieces they got to fix on that Panthers team.
Yeah, there is a lot.
And the Vikings are not terrible. They're just dumb. They're just idiots. But I think you're kind of idiot-proof because you have Justin Jefferson. You have Jordan Addison. You have TJ Hawkinson. You have three weapons that are better than anything on Carolina. You're going to put up 28 points in this game. Can Carolina put up 35 points?
I don't know that the Vikings are going to put up 28 points.
No, maybe pick sixes. They'll put up, but I think the Vikings will put up points.
I don't know, man. In the battle of two terrible teams, give me the home team and the team that doesn't have as many turnovers as the Vikings.
All right. I'm also rooting for the Panthers because I want to see the Vikings if they have to blow it up.
But you're taking the Vikings.
I'm taking the Vikings.
Okay.
I'm taking the Vikings. 2 more games. Steelers. We're going to go Texans and Cowboys, and then we're going to take a break, get your text, get you set up for Vandergrift football at 6:45, and get you ready for some MLB, final weekend of MLB. Steelers, 2.5-point favorites at the Texans. The Texans get a big win last week over Jacksonville, and they lose more offensive linemen.
Oh, no.
They are now on a 3rd-string left tackle, a 3rd-string left guard, a 3rd-string center, and a 3rd-string right tackle.
Guess where TJ Watt's lining up?
Wherever
Yeah.
he wants, just not across from Shaq Mason.
Yeah.
Shaq Mason's the only dude who he traded for, and he's like, did y'all not, like, what happened? So they're just so beat up. They're honoring J.J. Watt before the game, putting J.J. Watt in the Ring of Honor in Houston because TJ's going to be there. And so they can say, all right, we'll do this whole thing before the game. I'm kind of surprised the Steelers are only 2.5-point favorites in
Me
this
too.
game. I get it. That the Texans offense hasn't looked that terrible. The Texans defense hasn't looked that terrible. The offensive line has been completely terrible. The run game has been completely awful. C.J. Stroud has looked amazing, but it feels like there's a point where it has to go downhill,
Yeah.
and T.J. Watt may be that point.
I would think so, especially with 3rd-string offensive linemen in the game. You're talking about multiple years in a row now candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah.
I will say this. If you're playing fantasy football, Nico Collins, Tank Dell probably must starts in this game because they're just going to throw the ball all
They're gonna
day
have to.
long.
Yeah.
You know, that D-line for the Steelers is good enough that you're not going to be able to run because you weren't able to run against anybody.
Right.
You're not going to run against the Steelers. So you're going to be throwing that ball all game long. So those 2 guys who have been making a lot of good catches, I'd start either one of them. I'm going to go Texans solely on the fact that I'm a homer.
No way. Okay. Well, I'm taking the Steelers minus 2.5.
No, you're probably right.
And can I take a prop? Can I take TJ Watt for 7 sacks in this game?
Come on. C.J. Stroud's only got 11 sacks so far in the season. He's done well to get the ball out.
Wow. He's going to double his total.
He's 7th in the league in sacks taken.
Yeah, well,
That's impressive for a guy with no starting offensive lineman except the right guard.
he hasn't played TJ Watt.
I'm just saying. I'm saying he's done well of getting the ball out. He's going to get sacked, but the number 7 seems a bit high.
Okay.
Let's start it at 5.
Okay. My bad, Patrick. The Texans are amazing.
Come on. 3rd string.
That is tough. That is a tough
4 offensive
situation.
linemen. Speaking of injured O-linemen, the Dallas Cowboys are taking on the Patriots. Tyron Smith is now out. He is out for this game. That's been decided. I believe questionable is still Biotish and Zach Martin.
Yeah.
But they may play. They're just going to be beat up either way. You're going up against the Patriots. You're at home, 6.5-point favorites.
I can't do it.
You're not going to take the Cowboys in this.
I can't do it. I'm going to take.
Cowboys are going to win. The Patriots suck.
I'm not saying they're not going to win. I don't know if they win by a touchdown.
I think they win by a touchdown. I think that Zeke Elliott comes back and slowly runs for 25 yards in this game.
He's going to get a hero's welcome.
He's going to get a hero's welcome.
Yeah.
I don't get it, Cowboys fans. I just don't get it. That guy, there's no one on this team that won you anything. Like, I just don't get the Zeke thing. He screwed your team by taking a contract too early. He really did screw you by jumping the line in the contracts. I'm just telling you he did.
He did so much production though in the little 1 to 2 yard spaces and in blitz
was
protection.
good. He was good.
Blitz protection.
He was really good in pass pro. He's really good in pass pro. I do love that his last play as a Cowboy was getting mauled as a center. Great stuff there. Just fun. Just a fun. Whatever your last play at a team that you're going to go in the Ring of Honor at is a GIF. It's usually not good. I got the Cowboys covering 6.5 in this game.
Okay, I'll take.
And
the
I'll
Patriots.
tell you this: Ty brought up a good point when I was talking to him yesterday. I want to see Rico Dowdle used a little bit more in this game.
Yeah, he did really well last week.
He did some well, but he
Yeah.
only had like 4 carries in the game. I want to see him get closer to 10. I want to see him get closer to 10 carries, take some of the load off. Going into this week, Tony Pollard had the most carries of any running back in the NFL with 62. That is not sustainable for a season because if he goes out, your season's over. Rico Dowdle is your starter.
Yeah,
And you can't run the ball anymore. And you don't have any, that's not a sustainable thing.
No.
So you need Tony Pollard to be there. I don't like carrying him that much. But give credit. I want to see Rico Dowdle. Let's see what he can do. Because let's see if he's a serviceable back.
Didn't realize you were such a Rico Dowdle fan.
I'm not. But I want to see before you go make a trade. Find out if you got to make a trade because you only got a couple weeks
No,
left.
I agree. He flashed last week, and I want to see more. I agree.
All right, we're going to come back. Read some of your texts. Get you ready for Vandergrift football right here on the Sports Complex in the Horn, 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex, wrapping it up on a Friday afternoon before we get you off to Vandergrift football. Thanks for everybody playing along in the text line. We're going to get back to it. It is a 512 Friday. A special shout out on a 512 Friday. Playing Sunday at Saxon Pub. Sunday early show at Saxon Pub.
Who is it?
My man Bill Schoening, former voice of the Longhorns, voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Bill Schoening is doing a album release party with some friends out at Saxon Pub on a Sunday afternoon. So if you ever want to go meet Bill Schoening or go see, look, someone gave me a CD of his when I was working with bands, and I was doing a scouting thing for high school football, and this is like 2002, 2003.
He's been playing for a while.
And someone was like, "Do you know Bill Schoening?" And they gave me a CD of his. So I've known he's been playing for a long time. It's cool to see that he's putting this stuff out. But yeah, this is Bill Schoening, former voice of the Longhorns. I think you had the line what we need to see next. We know that Bill Schoening's got the album out now. Who's the next guy to have an album, Jacob?
Oh, Craig Way needs to put out a yacht rock album of nothing but cover songs.
Craig Way does the best of Boz Skaggs. Everybody would buy it.
Man, I'm telling you, I would have it on repeat in my car.
He could do it. He could do it. Craig Way can do whatever he wants.
And I think he would.
I think he
might.
Yeah, he could. Let's get over to some picks. We can figure out where we are at in my picks. We've lost it on my text line now. I will say, we'll talk some MLB while I figure out where my text line went. MLB, Astros versus Diamondbacks. JP Prance was supposed to start for the Astros today. He is a healthy scratch, apparently a scratch for a family emergency. So best of luck to JP France and his family. Hope everything's okay and it's not something more serious. But he will be a scratch today in a huge game against the Diamondbacks. Jose Urquidy is getting the start. Jose Urquidy was really good last year, has been pretty bad since he came back from the injury this year. So, this is going to be a big spot. You really need to win at least two of these games. I think if you win two of these, if you win two of these games, you're pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs. So you need to win two of these games against the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, I believe, need to win one to make the playoffs. So there's something everybody's playing for something. They're going up against Zach Gallen. He's 12-2 at home with a 2.45 ERA. You're going up against a real good pitcher. Astros can hit on the road. They can't hit at home. So hopefully, hitting on the road against the Diamondbacks. And the Rangers tonight will be taking on the Mariners in another big series. The Mariners get the win last night with a walk-off. Rangers starting Eovaldi tonight.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
Eovaldi's starting tonight.
No, I'm excited for this Astros team for this road series. They're 48-30 on the road.
Yeah.
So I like that number.
No, they're terrible at home, and no one knows why.
Well, it's good they're going to be a wild card seed then. I mean,
that was last night hanging out with my buddy Anthony, who was doing some serious with, and we were talking. I was like, well, no, if the Mariners win and this happens, we can win the division. He goes, well, do we really want home field?
No.
I mean, yeah, you got a good point. You got a good point there. Get back to the text line. Mr. Goodcat says 40-19.
Ooh.
Some Kool-Aid drinking going on. Texas first quarter established for presence with authority. We can get to...
I don't know if that one's Kool-Aid. That's a 21-point win. That's reasonable.
Shout out to Rip there for joining in. Shout out to the You Guys Sound Great. You can send in your name. I don't know who they are, but I appreciate it. Kenny from Harker Heights, shout out to you for playing. Random texter number 69. I was at Rouse game last night, and it was uncomfortably close for the entire game. Squeaked out with the P field with a 2-point win. Tomorrow's game has that kind of feel. Hope not. I'd like to be able to sit on more just the edge of my seat. Yeah, I hope it is not a 2-point game. If it is a 2-point game, then that Oklahoma game gets a lot scarier.
Oh, yeah. I like the way you wrapped up that text, too. That was a clever way to wrap that up.
That's good. It's good stuff there. I really wish Roshan would have went to my Cowboys or anywhere. I agree. And Freak Nasty says 34-17. Look, Roshan should have gone there, but Jerry Jones wants the story, so he drafted a guy for the story. That's the reality. He drafted Deuce Vaughn for the story. I think Deuce Vaughn will be fine. It's not anything against Deuce Vaughn. They should have drafted another running back. He knew they were filming in the show.
Yep.
He wanted to have the highlight because that's what Jerry Jones does, and he knew it would be a big highlight, which it was.
Right. And
so he said, well, we can't draft 2 running backs. That's silly. So we're not going to check this major need we have to make the story. And that is Jerry Jones and the Cowboys summed up in one moment. Is Jerry Jones deciding the story is more important than winning a Super Bowl?
Well, the story that gets forgotten is drafting Demo. I mean, unfortunately, he's out for the...
No, I agree. Demo's a great pick. And I get that. You can trade up and get... Like, you could have gotten Roshan.
No, I agree. You could have made it happen. I agree.
I hope you guys are keeping track of your picks. Great debate. Would love to hear who is sharper today. TJ Horn. Look, it's me. I'm sharper always. That goes without saying.
TJ Horn. For those watching on Twitch and YouTube, I am definitely keeping track of these picks.
He is keeping track. I texted him
because my
during
ego
the games.
is massive, and I need
texted
this.
him during the games the other day and asked him to make sure to keep track. So we were going with that. We've got to get out of here. Our main concern, and as a diehard Longhorn fan and alum, Chan, you're always concerned, Chan. You're always concerned.
It's good. You want to be concerned. It's good to be uncomfortable.
No, it's not. You got to be comfortable, man.
It's
spread out.
No, it is good to be uncomfortable.
Texas versus Kansas. We'll be back Monday to discuss the big win that Texas is going to have against Kansas.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go
what's it at, 16.5?
35-17.
Oh, I'm not going to give you an exact score. Numbers
You go
at 16.5, though?
Yeah.
I think it stays within that number, but I think Texas wins.
There you go. Be safe out there. Be kind. Have a great week, and keep your underwear clean. We'll see you right back here on Monday on the Sports Complex on the Horn.
Uyangalele.